We're Stevie and Tay, and we're Australian Samoan twins born and raised out west. We'll be sharing real and authentic content that encompasses the true essence of who we are and what we stand for, which is self-love, self-care, and self-education. Hello again, and welcome back to episode 7. For the last hundreds of thousands of years, we've grown and evolved as a species, but we believe one of the main reasons why we've lasted this long is because of one thing, and that is a mother's love. It is the most powerful force on earth, and maternal instinct is what has got us here from the beginning of time. Many say that motherhood is selfless, it's relentless, it's exhausting, but it is beyond rewarding. When I became a mother, it was the most transforming experience of my life. It shaped me into this fierce lioness who would do anything to protect her family. We know that every mother and baby are unique, and one way of parenting doesn't work for all. So this episode is going to give you a bit of insight into how I parent, and I'm going to openly and honestly share my perspective and experiences so far as a mum. Ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to become a mum. I've always had that maternal kind of feeling inside of me. Ever since I was a little girl, I've literally always wanted 6 kids. I still want 6 kids. And family is just everything to me. On the 7th of the 11th, 2015, I was blessed enough to become a mummy to my baby boy Ziggy, and my life changed forever. I'm gonna get emotional. I gave birth to my son, and I also birthed the mother inside of me. It has been the biggest transformation I've ever gone through my entire life. I'm all about growing and evolving, but by far that was the biggest transformation I'd ever gone through. Everyone always says you can't describe it exactly until you actually become a mum yourself, and you do the mum grind every single day, and you feel all that love inside of you, the crazy, fierce, intense, passionate love you have for your child. You just can't explain until you have your own. So 6 months before we knew that we would try to fall pregnant, I knew I wanted to do a massive detox, a big cleanse of my body. I wanted to flush out as many toxins as I could, to not have anything lingering around in my body that I knew would pass on to my baby at the time of conception and throughout pregnancy. I've been on the pill since I was 15 years old. I just knew my gut instincts was telling me that it was wrong. I needed to detox and cleanse that out of my system. I knew my gut health wasn't up to scratch, so I really knew that I wanted to detox and build my gut health up from scratch again, to really get it strong, build a good microbiome, and pass it on to my baby at conception and birth. So I did colonics, I did juice cleanses, I pumped myself full of amazing nutrition, I healed my gut. I call it preconception care. At the time while I was detoxing and cleansing my body, I also read a book by Nat Gowdis called Fertilize Yourself, and that was an amazing book. I highly encourage every woman wanting to fall pregnant or trying to conceive to buy that book and educate yourself and really understand what foods that you can be eating and what else you can be doing to really build a beautiful inner ecosystem and make sure that you are doing everything that you can to be super fertile. And that's what I did. I ate a lot of foods for fertility. A great analogy: you can't expect to grow beautiful produce from a garden that has a soil that's depleted of nutrients or water or all the minerals and things that it needs. I think about that in terms of my own body. I can't expect to conceive or have this beautiful, successful, healthy, amazing pregnancy and healthy baby if I haven't done the groundwork and really nurtured my soil or nurtured my body and create a beautiful inner ecosystem for that baby to thrive and flourish. I got my husband on board. He was also eating foods for fertility. I really put a lot of thought into myself and into both of our bodies and what we were going to do before we even tried to fall pregnant. So then the time came for my husband and I to try for a baby, and we did, obviously, and I fell pregnant straight away. Had the most amazing pregnancy. I hardly suffered from morning sickness. I was a bit tired, that was the only thing that was different, but I just felt so good. I just enjoyed the experience so much. I loved it. I just, every day I thought, oh my gosh, my body is literally creating a baby right now. It's creating a miracle. My body's working so hard to, you know, form all these little fingers and toes and eyes and ears. So I just was so grateful every single day waking up knowing that I had this little human growing inside of me. And so throughout my pregnancy, I always have good nutrition. I always focus on that a lot. I always focus on foods good for gut health. Before I fell pregnant, I was taking the doTERRA Lifelong Vitality supplement, and then I just continued to take that throughout my pregnancy. I also took zinc tablets by Thorne Research, having lots of bone broth, lots of fermented food and drink. I knew that I needed to keep building good gut health because I was going to pass that on to my baby at birth. Did a lot of research beforehand, and I really suggest that everyone watch an amazing documentary called Microbiome. That just completely changed my view on childbirth and pregnancy. It made me so determined and focused to create an amazing microbiome to pass on to my baby at birth. So while I was watching Microbiome, I remember I was in Japan and I sat there and I saw an Australian midwife called Hannah Darlin. She came onto the screen. I fell in love with her. She was just this beautiful beam of light. Everything that she was saying resonated with me so deeply, and I remember saying to my husband, babe, that is the midwife that we're gonna have when we fall pregnant. I'm gonna track Hannah Darlin down, and that's who I want for our midwives. And he was like, okay, yeah babe, all right, how much is this gonna cost me? And I just knew from that documentary, I was determined to get Hannah Darlin. And so when I fell pregnant, that's exactly what I did. I tracked her down. And from there, we also met my other midwife, Janine O'Brien. She is just the most amazing, beautiful soul. Her energy is gorgeous. I had my own two private midwives, Hannah Darlin, who's a professor in midwifery, and Janine O'Brien, who's an amazing midwife, and she won Midwife of the Year that year, actually, in 2015. I always wanted a home birth. And so these two amazing private midwives were extremely experienced in home birthing. They'd done hundreds of home births before, and I'd heard nothing but amazing positive feedback. I wasn't scared of it. It's just something inside of me that had this strong pull towards home birthing, and my instincts were telling me I just wanted to be at home surrounded by my loved ones in my own environment. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to be in the best hands, which I was with my midwives, and I just wanted to birth my baby the way that I wanted to birth my baby. And I remember people saying to me, you're crazy, why would you want a home birth? Why wouldn't you want to be in a hospital, you know, around doctors, and what if something goes wrong? And I remember saying to them, that's the last place I want to be. I want to be at home surrounded by my smells, my environment. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure. I want to be around all of my loved ones. I don't want to be in a hospital where I'm on the time schedule and all of these strangers are around me and I don't know what's going on, and it's a sterile environment, and why would I want to be there when I'm about to birth my new little baby into this world? I want to bring it into this world with love, and that's my idea of doing that, was having a home birth. So I planned for a home birth. I felt it was right for me and my family. And my midwife Janine, she hosts her own calm birthing courses. With my calm birthing course, it's supposed to be me and my husband, but my husband and I, Stevie, my mum and my mother-in-law all came to this calm birthing course with me, or with us, and we all did calm birthing together because we all wanted to be on the same page. Leading up to giving birth, I also wrote out my own birthing plan. In my birthing plan, I had all of these things that were to happen should I give birth at home, and then I also had all of these things that were to happen if I needed to be transferred and go into hospital for a C-section. And so after a very long labour, I was in labour from Tuesday and I ended up giving birth on Saturday. So the whole time from the Tuesday to the Saturday, I didn't suspect anything was wrong. I just thought, you know what, I can do this. Everything's going fine, my baby's fine, his heart rate's fine. And it wasn't towards the very end. I remember they checked how many centimetres I was dilated, and I looked at them when they told me I was still only 6 centimetres. I hadn't even gone into transition. I thought I was in transition. And I remember my heart sank, and I just said to them, I think I need help. I think I need to go into hospital. So I made the call. I told them, you know, this is what I'm feeling. This is what my instincts are telling me. I made the call to go into hospital, and of course they were completely on board. So we transferred to hospital and then still stuck it out for another almost, I think it was about 10 hours. Yeah, I was still determined to do it all naturally. I was still pushing on. I knew in my heart it wasn't going to my plan. My midwives, you know, sat down on the bed and I just knew the look that they gave me. I knew they were gonna say, I think you need a C-section. And that was my only fear, was having a C-section. And so I cried, I burst into tears, I was hysterical because I knew that my baby, when he was going to be born, he would miss out on my microbiome. He wouldn't come through the birthing canal and soak up all of those organisms that would be the start of his own gut health. As his first exposure to the bacteria that stays and lives in his gut. I knew he'd miss out on that, and I was devastated, but at the same time I was exhausted. So I went in for a C-section on the Saturday afternoon, gave birth to my beautiful baby boy. Now, when Ziggy came out, I couldn't see anything, but my husband walked around the corner and he said, "Oh, it's a boy, it's a boy." And he was so happy because I think deep down he just wanted a boy. I just want to touch on something that I think is really important to talk about, in particular if there's mothers to be out there that might need a C-section or they plan to have a C-section. There's a procedure in particular that you can have done, and it's called microbiome seeding. And not many mums know about this procedure. In fact, when I had my C-section, not many of the doctors or midwives there knew what microbiome seeding was. And so I knew about microbiome seeding because I watched Microbirth and because I had my 2 private amazing midwives who were all about microbiome seeding. When babies are born naturally, they come down the birthing canal and they soak up and absorb all of the bacteria and the different organisms on the birthing canal wall. And that is the baby's first exposure to the good and bad bacteria and the organisms that will live in the baby's gut. That's actually the sign of their gut health, is when they come down the birthing canal. And then obviously when they come out and they had their first breastfeeding, and the skin-to-skin contact, that also builds up their own microbiome. And so that is probably the most crucial event that will happen in a human's life, is the microbiome seeding. And so I knew that when I was having a C-section, I did not want my son to inherit the microbiome of the hospital. It was so crucial that he still inherited my microbiomes. So 10 minutes before I went into surgery, a swab was placed inside me and it stayed in there. And what happened was, as soon as my son was born, that swab was then wiped all over his face, his mouth, his nose, his eyes, his ears, everywhere, so that he could still absorb some of my microbiome and take that in and swallow it. And then he was given to me straight away, and he had his first breastfeed on the operating table. So while I was still getting stitched up, he was going for his first breastfeed. So I still made sure, even though I knew I had to have a C-section, I still made sure that he was being exposed to my microbiome, and he never left my side or my chest. He had skin to skin straight away, breastfeeding straight away, and had that swab of my microbiomes wiped all over his face. So for the first 3 months, it's called the 4th trimester, I was doing everything that I could to make sure that my son was protected in our little love nest, building and nurturing his microbiome, only really surrounded by my smells and only seeing immediate family. We didn't wash him straight away to keep building his microbiome, so it was important not to wash him straight away. We waited about a week and then gave him his first bath, that he could still absorb and soak in all of the vernix that is on their skin when they are born. It's really important for us to stay home and not overexpose him to too many things, not overstimulate him to too many different sounds or environments, and just make sure that he was with me in our little love nest, nurturing his microbiome and just gently easing him into this world. So he slept in bed with me from the start, and he still sleeps in bed with us. He's almost 18 months old and we're still co-sleeping, we're still safe bed sharing, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love snuggling into both my boys in bed at night and just knowing that he's right there. Primal instincts, there's a reason why our babies need to be so close to us, and it actually regulates their breathing. There's so many benefits to why co-sleeping and safe bed sharing works, and it's beneficial to the mum and beneficial to the baby as well. I remember reading a book called Parenting by Heart by Pinky McKay, and I loved that book. And there's one thing that I always remember in that book. It says, don't watch the clock, watch your baby. And by heart, I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna watch my baby and go off his cues and just get in tune with what he needs, and he will give me the signals and tell me what he wants when the time is right. And I did that. I remember doing that and I thought, oh, this feels right. This is what I should be doing. I'm just gonna watch my baby. I'm not gonna bother about the time and how long he slept for and what time he needs to be down and this and that, and it was too stressful for me. So I started watching my baby, and that was it, and that's how I parented from the start. Be patient, and nothing is ever a problem in motherhood. Only when you say it's a problem, that's when it becomes a problem. Not when other people tell you it's a problem or this is what you should be doing. If you don't feel like that, then you just trust your instincts and just do what feels right for you. I remember Pinky McKay saying that in her book, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna roll with that too. Nothing's a problem. I can hold my baby and he can sleep, and I can sit on the couch and just love him and not do anything, and you know, it might be wasting the day, but hey, babies are only little for so long. I exclusively breastfed Ziggy up until he was 6 months old. I didn't introduce any foods. I read a beautiful, amazing book, Well-Adjusted Babies. I recommend it to everyone, or any of my friends who are pregnant always say, you need to go buy Well-Adjusted Babies, it's amazing. It's got all this amazing information in it. And that had not only, you know, what I could do with birthing and in terms of like the first few months of Ziggy's life, but also what foods I could introduce and when. So started introducing bone broth at 6 months old, and then slowly one by one introduced different vegetables like zucchini and cauliflower and broccoli and things like that. It's very important to me that I make all of his food from scratch, and I always make it with organic produce. That is just something that's really important to me and my family, and I strongly believe that if you can, organic produce is a must for your kids, especially for their growing, developing little bodies. Ziggy eats a paleo diet, and maybe later on I will introduce different things, because I understand, you know, one way of eating doesn't work for everybody, and what works for him now might not work in the future, so I will reassess that as he gets older, but for now he eats a strictly paleo diet. He's absolutely thriving off it. He is doing so well. He doesn't have any digestive issues, and he's happy. His tummy's happy, and it's, you know, happy gut is a happy mind and a happy baby. For our family, we believe that the best defense and best protection is good health. Preconception care to pregnancy to childbirth to labor to the start of Ziggy's life to now, I'm always focusing on how I can build strong foundations of good health. And that's not just from the food that he eats and still being breastfed today. It's a holistic perspective, so it also comes down to our home, our environment, what Ziggy's surrounded in, what I wash Ziggy in. So I'm always being mindful of reducing his toxin exposure as much as I can. And so we have things like wooden toys. I don't wash Ziggy in any harsh chemicals or anything. Actually, the first year of his life, I didn't wash him in anything. I just washed him in warm bath water, and that was it. Now I wash him in a beautiful brand called Divine Baby. It's an organic baby skincare range. I'm not only passionate about taking care of my family's health, but also the health of the environment as well. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to look into cloth nappies, and I'm going to start using cloth nappies so I can do something about this. So I started looking into cloth nappies and came across a brand called Charlie Banana. And the cloth nappies that we have today are so easy to use. Yes, it's more time consuming, and yes, it's a bit more washing, but it's worth it to me. It also saves me a lot of money. I'm not running down to the shop, you know, every few days to buy a box of disposables or wipes and this and that. We use cloth nappies and cloth wipes. And yes, sometimes I do treat myself, actually. I call it treat myself. When we go away on holidays, I will buy a box of disposable nappies, because I don't want to, no one wants to be washing while they're on holidays. So I use brands like Tushies. I love Tushies. And they are biodegradable, and they are better for the environment, and they don't have any harsh chemicals in them either. So that's a brand that I do use if I do use disposables, which isn't very often. In terms of what I use for my own son when it comes to medicine and natural remedies, what I mostly use and what I use every single day 100% is essential oils. And so what I use for his fevers is I rub a drop of peppermint oil with coconut oil, rub it into my hands and rub it onto the bottom of his feet. That relief so that he can get a bit more comfortable and he can sleep better at night. There's only been a couple of times where he's had a fever, I also use things like On Guard as a preventative measure. Frankincense is amazing in terms of boosting your immune system. I use Digestin if Ziggy is a little bit constipated, and things like tea tree oil as well, just to put in the diffuser to clear off any of the nasty bugs or anything that's flying around in the air. I also use grapefruit seed extract, so GSE. Grapefruit seed extract is a natural antibiotic. It's a natural antifungal, antiviral, antibiotic. I'll always turn to grapefruit seed extract first because of its powerful healing benefits and healing properties. And I've seen it work on myself and my son as well. Since Ziggy was 4 days old, I've taken him to see our chiropractor. We see Zoe at Prestige Chiropractic in Manly, and she is amazing. I'm a big believer in, if you want to focus on your family's health and boost their immune system, you need to focus on your family's gut health, because your immune system is in your gut. So I also give Ziggy his daily probiotic, which is Baby Biotic by Bioceutical, to nourish his gut, to keep it strong so he has a strong, healthy immune system. And also bone broth as well is amazing in healing his gut and keeping him strong and healthy. So I use essential oils, grapefruit seed extract, Baby Biotic so he gets his daily probiotic, and bone broth. That would be my medicine kit for my son. These things are so simple yet so effective, and they are natural remedies. They don't come with side effects, they're not harmful, and they truly work. Self-care for mums is so crucially important. To take time out for yourself. You need to take care of yourself first. Your health and happiness matters too. It's so important that we put ourselves first, and we remember to put ourselves first, because if we're not putting ourselves first and we're not taking care of our health and happiness, everything else is just gonna fall to pieces. We won't be able to take care of our loved ones the best way that we can take care of them if we're not giving ourselves the best care and attention and love ourselves. Remember that you are a beautiful mum, but you are also a strong, fierce, powerful woman who, you know, has dreams and goals of her own as well. Like, you truly have that sense of contentment and fulfillment inside of you, then you are happy. We all know when we're happy mums and we're happy people, we have happy families. Just do the best that you can. No mum is perfect. I'm not perfect. Every mother and baby is different. What works for me doesn't work for other people. What works for other people doesn't work for me, and I get that. And we put too much pressure on ourselves to be, you know, this perfect person or this perfect mum, or, you know, we're only human. We can only do the best that we can, and we can only do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have at the time. So just remember that you are an amazing mum, so give yourself a pat on the back. We want to say that every mother, past and present, are truly amazing. The jobs we do every single day to keep our children alive and make sure our families are happy doesn't go unnoticed here. We want to celebrate you and everything that goes into being a mum, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the tantrums. We also want to remind you that your health and happiness matters too. You can't pour from an empty cup. Practice self-love and self-care so that your love tank is overflowing to fill the rest of your family's cups up. In honor of all the amazing, fierce, unstoppable, powerful mums out there, we want to dedicate this episode to you. Happy Mother's Day!